Welcome. In this video, I'll be talking to you about how to integrate your work fully into your life and your life into your work and create a synergy that works for you. Now, I don't believe that work is separate from your life. Your life is your life. Obviously, within it, there are different pieces of the pie or slices of the pizza. Work is one of it, and it is a major part of it, especially if work is not just for paying your bills, if it is also a form of fulfillment for you. If it is a form of fulfillment for you, then work is a significant piece of your life, pretty much, because you find joy doing it. Even though sometimes we may not want to agree with that, a lot of people find joy just working because it gives them a sense that they are part of something meaningful and they are solving very important problems. Okay. Now, you want to think about how to make sure that your life does not suffer because you're working, and your work does not suffer because you've got a life, a well balanced life outside of work. So you want to create a sort of integrated system or an integration where you can continue to have the kind of life, the quality of life that you want. You can have kids if you want to have kids while maintaining your career. You can be married. You can have whatever it is you want to have. You can create, side also businesses while maintaining a corporate career. You can do just about anything that you want to do, and you do not want, and you can have your hobbies, and you can chase your hobbies, and you can even be in ministry, and you can be religious, and you can be part of anything that gives you a sense of fulfillment outside of work, even though you've got a corporate career going for you. So one does not need to suffer because of another. And that's why that system needs to be properly integrated. And I will be talking to you about a couple of things you should think about if you're trying to achieve that level of integration where it is almost seamless, that everything is working together in your life. Number one, your mindset needs to be that you can be a successful corporate professional, and at the same time you can be successful in whatever else you choose to do. So you can have a corporate career and a business career, and you can have hobbies, and you can have kids, have your husband, have your wife. You can have a family, and you can continue to grow in your career. And the fact that you've got that life outside of your career does not mean your growth will be impacted, right? That is where I am pretty much going. So a couple of things you want to think about for yourself. Number one, you need to admit the cost of everything you are involved in or involved with. You need to count the cost, because as humans, you are limited in time and you're limited in energy. So depending on the kind of work that you do, your corporate career will require tons of hours from you, your energy, your involvement, your availability, your presence, and your attention. Even though for most people it is probably like 8 hours every single day, some corporate jobs require much more than that throughout the course of the year or at some point during the course of the year. So you must count the cost of your ambition, and you must count the cost of the things you're involved with. So if your career requires 10 hours from you or 12 hours daily from you, you don't shy away from that. If you do enjoy it, you want to continue in that career, you must count the cost. How many hours every day do I need to put in for me to continue to remain relevant, for me to continue to remain the top performer that I am, and to just a fantastic professional? You also want to count the cost of the other things you're involved with. So, for instance, other than working, if you're writing professional exams, that's going to require time, energy, and your attention and everything. So you also want to sit down and count the cost of that and see if you have enough time on your plate to manage your work and that commitment of writing professional exams. You also want to think about it from a marriage perspective. Now, this is a big issue because a lot of people eventually just, especially ladies, just leave their work once they get married just because they cannot just manage everything together. It's just too much for them. Don't forget, what I can bear, my threshold for pain, my threshold for inconvenience is different from another person's threshold for inconvenience. It's very, very different. I've seen some people will resign for some reasons that I'll be like, well, I wouldn't have. But that's me, because my threshold is different. And I've also seen situations that I could not stand some things, and there are some people that they've got that thick skin, they're gonna stand through it. So our threshold for inconvenience is different. So you want to also count the cost of getting married, having kids. When you have kids, it's a different ball game. Okay, you're responsible for another whole human other than your partner, right? So it's a whole different ball game. There are different things involved. Their schooling, their growth, their development, the food they eat, the activities they have to get involved with, and you need to be there. You need to be present to make sure that they are safe and they are in a very warm and welcoming, very nice environment where they can grow and thrive. So there's just a lot. So you want to think about all of this dynamic. So you want to sit down, reflect on your life right now. What are those things that you have committed your time to? And how can you integrate everything into your day without, obviously, you need to count the cost of your health as well, your mental well-being and your physical well-being as well. You want to think about that. This is a very strong point. You need to count the cost. And that's why sometimes when you do that reflection, some things need to drop from the plate. They are good to haves, but if you do not have the time for it, the energy for it, the attention for it, just drop them out of the plate and focus on what matters for you. So that is you counting the cost. Number 2 is this, your mindset. Now, even though you're trying to sort of count the cost and all of that, you need to think as an expanded professional, as an expanded homemaker, as an expanded head of your family. And you need to think like, I can have a successful career, and I can have my hobbies. And I know I've talked about it before, but you need to have that mindset that you can be successful at everything you do. So you can have everything you want if you have the time to give the input it requires for you to get the results that you're looking for. Okay, so if you do not have the time, so but your mindset needs to be in a place where you know that you can deliver, you know that you can be successful, you know that it is doable, because people all over the world are doing much more than you're doing, and you can deliver those results that you're looking for in every single area of your life. Okay, now let's go to very practical tips. Number 1 is a flexible work schedule. And this, a lot of people, you see people tell you, develop a flexible work schedule, but some people may not understand what this is. And this is going to be my take on a flexible work schedule. You can bring your life into your work and your work into your life. Mix it up. I don't personally believe in, 9 to 5, I will not take calls for my family if I need to take important, urgent calls. So for instance, they're calling me for my son's school. For instance, maybe something has gone wrong or something has gone right, or there's something I need to do. I need to take that call. Or probably it needs to be picked up. Someone who needs to pick him up is not there at the time. Whatever the case may be, I need to pick up the phone. I need to answer that situation. And there could be an urgent situation. Okay, that I need to. So you don't want to say, 9 to 5 is just my work. I don't think you can live that robotic kind of life. Okay, so you need to bring your life into your work and your work into your life. Now, for instance, I have 2 kids. I do school run almost every day, right? And when I go take my kids to school, my partner takes my kids. Either ways, some of those school runs eat into my work time. But it's there. Once you go into my calendar, you see the amount of times I need to take my kids to school, pick my kids from school, whatever that case may be, you see it. So you need to have a flexible, communicated work schedule. It is important. Else, you may not be able to thrive. Now, the people you're working with need to know that in the mornings, even though resumption time is 8 o'clock, you're not there until 8:30 because you need to drop your kids at school. And you need to make sure they have good and healthy breakfast before you take them to school. When you are employed with your baggage. You come with your baggage. And a lot of people shy away from these things. They be like, maybe I don't know how my work people will take it if I tell them no. How you present yourself is how you'll be accepted. And there is support more than you can imagine, except you are not good at your job. If you're good at your job and you say, look, I come with 2 kids. I come with 3 kids. I need to drop them off at school. They need to have a healthy breakfast in the morning. 8 a.m. is not doable for me, but I'll make sure I'm in the office before 8:30, or I'm in the office before 9:30. If you don't have to do school runs in the afternoon, you could also be the case if your organization is very strict on timeline. It could be the case you'll be like, okay, that 30 minutes I'm not doing in the morning, I'll do it in the evening. It can be that. It can be anything. But we have come past the era where people have to work like you have to be set in stone what needs to happen. So I need you to plug into that flexible work schedule. Okay. Another thing I want you to think about is this: be honest with yourself. What are the things that you are able to achieve every single day? We're able to. You don't have to do everything in a day. Things that you don't have to do today, you don't have to do it today. You can do it on the next day. You can, do things based on priorities. Make sure, because obviously, if you're trying to do work that should be done in 2 weeks' time, you're trying to do it now, especially if it's not required, and you're also trying to do the things that are priority now, then you're going to break down because you're doing too much. You're loading your back. You're doing too much. Okay? Any piece of work, this is how I personally would see it. If your work hours per day is 8, do schedule on your calendar bits and pieces of work that can be done easily in those 8 hours, including meeting times. You need to think about meeting times, especially if you've gotten to the middle like myself. You need to think about when you're doing a lot of meetings, you're on a lot of calls. You need to think about that as well. And now talking about calendar, you also need to think about how to block out the time for deep work. A lot of people are very good with going to meetings, but they are very bad at execution. So you go to a meeting and all your calendar is locked up with meetings, but there is no time to do the action points from the meetings. That is not great. So you need to think of a time during the course of the week. It can be earlier part of your day, later part of your day, one day in a week where it is just for deep work, no meetings, please. Block out your calendar so that you can have a well-rounded, you can have an enjoyable work life. Because sometimes overwhelming tasks may make you not enjoy your work. If the tasks are too much, even though you love your job, if the tasks you are asked to do is too much, you will not enjoy doing it. And you may begin to lose interest. Okay, so you want to think about that. So block out your calendar, use your calendar efficiently to get the pieces of work that you need to get done. Now, make sure you're using technology tools and apps that give you that efficiency that you need. You need to get your work done as quickly as possible. You want to get your bits and pieces done. So think about that. Use those tools, use those technology tools to get your work done as quickly as you can. Okay. I want you to also think about this. Sometimes your personal life is very, very hectic, especially for those people who have like large family, large friends. Sometimes there's drama, or probably you're even going through some personal things, maybe sickness, maybe you are having issues in your marriage, or maybe you have a kid that is going through something, and probably, or you are spending most of your time in the hospital. If you are having some really, really tough time at home, you also want to think about sometimes, and you really need to get away from that scenario. You really want to get away just to, get your head well rested. Sometimes work is a good place for you to just sink in and just forget about what is going on at home. And that's the fact. It's just the fact of life. Sometimes you can use work to distract yourself, and you must be conscious of when that is happening. And that is not to say that, obviously you can go on a vacation, take some time off, whatever it is you want to do, you can do that. But I'm also saying that you can also use work as a tool to heal your personal life. Is possible. Just the same way you can use your personal life to heal work. So when work is tough, you've worked Monday to Friday, it's very hectic. Saturday, Sunday, you're spending time with your family, you're relaxing, you're doing all of that, you're relaxing, That same way, if you're having troubles personally, you can also use work as a getaway. So think about that very deeply, okay? I also want you to think about delegation and outsourcing. This one, I am very, very interested in it. It's not just work delegation. Obviously, most of my videos will talk about delegation because of how important it is. Delegate. If you can teach someone to do it, you shouldn't be doing it. So delegate. But at home, delegate. Ladies, if you are having to do it, especially even if you're not doing all of the house chores, but it feels like you're responsible for doing it. It feels like it because if it's not done, you don't feel okay. You are like, oh, I'm the lady in the house. It's just normal that you want to, do everything. Please don't do everything. Let your money work for you. If you can afford it, get help. If you can afford it. I'm in the UK now, so that is almost, I can't even afford it. Right? You have to basically do everything yourself here. So I needed to create systems and processes in my house to make sure that I'm not dying. I was dying, doing all the house chores, doing everything. I felt, yes, ladies, delegate your house chores. In fact, let me tell you this, take it from me. There is no value except it gives you joy. Like me, sometimes I don't like to admit it, but personally, I love cooking for my family. If I did not have work, I could stay in the kitchen I love cooking for my family. I just love it. But I don't have the time as such. I still do. Like, that's something I can't really dedicate personally because I still do love to cook for my family. But everything else, not me. Not really me. In fact, once I try to do anything around the house, by the time I start, I'm not in that space to do anything chores because I believe it does not add any value to me. The more laundry I do, the more laundry I do. The more laundry I do, the more laundry I do. The more sweeping I do, the more sweeping I do. It's unending. And that impacts you physically. You begin to age. You don't have to do it. Get everybody around the house to pick up. Everybody starts learning to do one thing or the other to help you. Or if you can afford it, if you're back home, for instance, oh my God, I miss back home. If you're back home, for instance, get help. When I was back home, I had help and I enjoyed it. When I was back home, the only thing I did was my career, pretty much. I had my baby, and I had all the support in the world. So if you're still back home, you can afford it. Don't be cooking, don't be cleaning. You have tools. Let your money work for you. Let people do it for you. Let people cook for you. You eat. You relax. Then spend your time doing valuable things. Grow your career. Okay? Spend time with your family. Spend time with your partner. Okay? Don't be doing things. Number one, the way I think, I'm very transactional in my thoughts, especially when it comes to household chores. If I'm going to so what I do is when I cook and I meal prep for the week, I cook between 2 to 3 hours every weekend. I am consuming content while I cook. So I enjoy cooking for my family and I enjoy loading up on content. I could finish a whole audiobook while I'm cooking. That's how I do. And I enjoy consuming content. Plus I enjoy cooking. So I just love it. I just put on my trainers. I'm cooking. I enjoy it. I'm in a world of my own. Except you are like that and you enjoy. If you don't enjoy, don't do it. Find help. Okay? I've dealt on this matter for a long time, and that is what is killing a lot of ladies in terms of killing their energy, killing their enthusiasm, them feeling like slaves and all of that. That's what's killing you. Remove that away and you will see how much joy you can feel for your career, to be honest. So think about every single thing you're putting in. So weekends when you be resting, you're going to the markets. You're going to the market. From the market, you're coming home, you're cooking, you're meal prepping, you're washing uniform, don't die, oh. Don't die. Anyways, back to it. So delegate, please delegate as much as you can. Now, another thing I want you to think about is this. Your work is not just your work. Your work plus your learnings, your personal training of yourself to remain qualified and overqualified for the work you do. So you need to count the cost of that as well. So while you're saying, oh, work-life balance, I don't work on weekends, when do you have time? Because you are giving your service to an organization, right? You're giving your service to an organization. It's like a product. It's like an Apple product, for instance, that, let's say it was version 1, the software, when you bought it. There's been version 2, version 3, version 4, version 6, version 7. You are not updating the version. You are not updating the software. You are just on version 1 of 1997. You're not going to grow, even when at a point everybody will just leave you where you are, and then at some point they will just tell you to go. So you must think about, when is that time when you're growing in your career, when you're reading, and you could, on your commute to work, you could read, you could listen to industry podcast, you could listen to what's going on, you can listen to someone who has been on your line, who was interviewed. You could listen to anything that helps you do your work better. Okay, load up on that content. And usually you may not be able to do that during work hours. It depends. You may not have that time, but you are preparing yourself for the job of the future. Not really for now. Obviously, most of them will come in handy now, but you're preparing yourself for the future. You want to remain qualified for the work you do. So you want to think about that. So I mean, these bits and pieces I've talked about will help you see how you could integrate yourself into your work and your work into yourself. Just don't feel like it has to be black and white. It doesn't have to be. Just think about all of these things. Mostly think about where your energy is going. If they are going to you washing clothes, to you cooking, all those things that don't add value to your corporate career and you don't even enjoy doing in the first place, you must think about how to automate them. You must think about how somebody else can do it for you. Some people bulk buy meals, put it in their fridge and eat. Whatever rocks your boat, whatever works for you, as long as your energy is not going towards unproductive activities, you should be fine. Thank you very much for joining me in this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you.